Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our EITC Awareness Day. We are so excited to have you. My name is Stephanie Crane. I'm one of the Community Impact Managers over the Economic Opportunity Profile at United Way of the National Capital Area. And I'm very excited to be hosting this with our partners at the DC Department of Insurance, Securities, and Banking. And I'd like to introduce my co-host and co-chair of this event, Ms. Michelle Hammonds, who is the Director of the Office of Financial Empowerment and Education. Michelle, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Can everyone hear me? Just want to make sure I'm good. Fantastic. I'm so pleased to have everyone here today and join us on this important topic, especially as we are going through some things here with the coronavirus. So today we're going to talk about EITC awareness, or Earned Income Tax Awareness, and some other things that are going to be related to taxes. But before we get started, we do want to have a few welcoming words from first our Rosie Allen Heron. She is the CEO of the United Way of the National Capital Area. Rosie.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Stephanie, for your awesome leadership. Both of you have brought us here today, and I'm grateful for this. We appreciate the partnership with you and the DC Department of Insurance, Securities, and Banking. And we're here today to encourage all residents to get back in the DMV by accessing free and virtual tax preparation services that are available to those with an annual income of $57,000 or less. Your United Way of the National Capital Area is here to help fight for the economic opportunity for every resident in this city and certainly in this region. And we are here today to tell you that we are here and ready to help in the preparation for filing your 2020 tax returns. Thanks in part to the generosity of City Community Development, and we have our good friend Reginald Exum here today, we're able to mobilize a coalition of tax preparers and an organization to assist in this effort. Every tax season, approximately 80% of qualifying residents actually claim their EITC credit, which could add up to as much as a $2,400 tax refund. But there are still many in our community that don't access this credit, as well as people who have not filed taxes in the past who may still qualify. Given the fact that many of our residents are suffering from the significant loss of revenue and income because of COVID, it's important for every resident to get the dollars that they qualify for to receive that tax refund. We're invested with IRS trained professionals to help residents determine their eligibility and certainly to receive that free tax preparation help. Because during these most unprecedented times, the need for these much needed funds can really help many of our families take care of debt, make investments that build their future, and also simply stabilize their families. These services are available through United Way of the National Capital Area's Financial Empowerment Centers and many of the partners who you will hear from today. And we want you to know that we are here to work with and for you. Again, these services are free for tax filers with incomes of $57,000 or less. They can have their tax prepared. Residents should bring their required documents with them in order to be able to expedite this service that we offer with and for you. And finally, I'll just end with thanking our partners. When we look at the leadership of Ms. Hammonds and Ms. Woods from DISB, the work of Mr. Joseph Leekman from from CAB, we'll just call it CAB, Ms. Teresa Hines, and the work that she's doing, and so many who are with us, including our funders from City Community Development. It is really on behalf of our family at United Way of the National Capital Area that I stand before you to say that we are in it with you, that we look forward to the partnership, and here's to even greater success ahead. Thank you so much, Ms. Hammond, for your leadership. Thank you again to everyone for being here today.
Thank you for those wonderful words, and we all are in it together. And now we'll hear from my commissioner from the Department of Insurance, Securities, and Banking, Ms. Karima Woods.
Great. Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Rosie, for your ongoing leadership with the United Way and the amazing work that you all are doing. Good morning to everyone. I am Karima Woods, and I'm pleased to be here with you all today. I'm the Commissioner of the District's Department of Insurance, Securities, and Banking. On behalf of Mayor Bowser, it is my distinct honor and pleasure to celebrate with you all today the Earned Income Tax Credit Awareness Day. This time last year, I was new in my role and position, and this was my very first event. So it holds a very special place in my heart. So I'm pleased to be with you all again today, a year later. Special thanks to all of our partners who are with us here today, the United Way of the National Capital Area, Aarp, the Community Tax Aid, and of course, CAB. Thank you, Joseph, for your ongoing partnership. And also Citi, I want to thank you for joining forces with us today to emphasize the very importance of our Earned Income Tax Credit. And a special thanks to Michelle Hammonds for your leadership, Michelle, and your ongoing commitment to this work. So thank you for all that you've done to help bring us here today. I want to just take a moment to just reflect on the importance of the Earned Income Tax Credit. I know that in collaboration with United Way and all of our supporting partners here today, our goal is to ensure that 100% of the qualifying residents here in the district, that they receive their Earned Income Tax Credit and even larger tax refund. We know that even more so now than ever, that tax refund is needed, and it will help so many families. And so we want to also encourage the unbanked residents that are receiving funds to utilize this opportunity to access one of the many affordable banking options throughout this region and to avoid any unnecessary fees that are associated with check cashing services. If you need to, feel free to check out our website for the Bank on DC program, where you can get more information about how to secure a bank account through our Bank on DC program. Some of you may be aware that here at the department, we are a regulatory entity and we oversee the financial services entities here in the district that have a direct impact on the lives of district residents. We are also fully committed to empowering district residents about their finances and about financial information and resources. And Michelle Hammonds and her team does a brilliant job of ensuring that we are intentional about how we engage our residents about financial information. In keeping with the mayor's vision to improve financial well-being in all 8 wards of the district, the department wants to ensure that all eligible residents get the Earned Income Tax Credit and maximize the refund that is due. And so I want to definitely encourage you to utilize the Earned Income Tax refund. You'll hear more today about all of the options that are available to you to work with tax professionals to learn how to go about doing that. So it is my privilege to read a proclamation from the mayor in honor of today's Earned Income Tax Awareness Day. The proclamation reads as follows, and I believe, Michelle, you may have a copy of the proclamation there. The proclamation reads as follows. Earned Income Tax Credit Awareness Day, January 29th, 2021. Whereas Earned Income Tax Credit Awareness Day is an opportunity to encourage citizens to find out if they qualify to claim additional refundable tax credits, which include the American Opportunity Tax Credit, the Child Tax Credit, and the Additional Child Tax Credit. And whereas Earned Income Tax Credits can benefit more than 25 million low and moderate income workers, which can be a financial boost for working people and our economy. And whereas Earned Income Tax Credit Awareness Day is also a day for citizens working together to showcase these credits to lift people out of poverty build a stronger community, and assist other people. And whereas the district's Department of Insurance, Securities, and Banking, the United Way of the National Capital Area, and City Community Development, along with other organizations across the country, are joining this effort to increase awareness of these valuable tax credits. And whereas the last Friday in January is Earned Income Tax Credit Awareness Day, a great opportunity to encourage all residents to raise their awareness for and take advantage of these tax credits. Now, therefore, I, the Mayor of Washington, D.C., do hereby proclaim January 29th, 2021 as Earned Income Tax Credit Awareness Day in Washington, D.C. So with that, I thank you all for joining us today, and I'll hand things back over to you, Michelle. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And at this time, it is where we need a boost in financial capability. So if you qualify for the Earned Income Tax Credit or any of the other things that we'll hear about today, please make sure you take advantage of these resources. And I'll turn it over to Stephanie. We have a short video for you.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Commissioner Woods, and thank you so much, Rosie, for your wonderful remarks. So we are very excited to share 2 videos with you today that lift up the importance of Earned Income Tax Credit and what it can do for residents across the region. The first video is to help us get the word out about Earned Income Tax Credit. And as Rosie mentioned, 80% of people who are eligible to receive Earned Income Tax Credit actually don't apply, are the only ones who actually apply. So we want to get that number up to 100%. So we're going to work on that. And a quick disclaimer about both videos that you'll be viewing today. They were filmed prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. So we request that you continue to follow the CDC guidelines for social distancing and wearing masks as we go forward. Thank you.
Every year, only about 80% of people who are qualified to receive the Earned Income Tax Credit actually apply. But for many working families, the Earned Income Tax Credit is the largest lump sum of money they may receive all year. Those who receive the EITC often use it to tackle debt, pay off rent, or invest in themselves. This year, United Way of the National Capital Area is partnering with its volunteer income tax assistance partners to get working families the most back on their refunds. Don't leave money on the table this tax season. You earned it. Get it back. See if you apply for the Earned Income Tax Credit this year and get back more on your refund.
Thanks for sharing that video, and we want to make sure people are aware of this program. And so what we're going to have now is a panel discussion and some information that's going to be shared with you by some of our esteemed colleagues from various tax preparation organizations. First, you'll hear from Ken Hartman from the AARP Foundation. Then we'll hear some information about tax prep sites from Joseph Lightman Santa Cruz from Capital Area Asset Builders. And then we'll wrap it up with Teresa Hines from Community Tax Aid. As they are going through their presentations, if you do have questions, please insert those questions into the chat box. We will have some culminating questions that we'll dole out at the end of their presentation. So without further ado, Ken Hartman.
Thank you, Michelle, and good morning, everyone. I'm here representing the AARP Foundation Tax Aid Service, which is part of the VITA TCE program. VITA TCE stands for Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Tax Counseling for the Elderly. It is an IRS grant-funded program in which a number of organizations around the country participate to provide free tax preparation services to eligible and mainly low-income and senior taxpayers. Although AARP Foundation is probably the largest organization that participates in the program, there are others like Community Tax Aid, which Teresa represents, and you'll hear from her as well. Next slide. Traditionally, what TaxAid has done is operate 14 centers spread throughout the district that offered in-person walk-in service on a first-come, first-served basis. All of the tax preparers are certified IRS, certified by the IRS at the advanced level of tax preparation, although so they can handle most of the returns of the of our target clientele, but there are some more complicated transactions that are out of scope. As I said, typically we have 14 locations that are primarily in the DC libraries and in the recreation centers. And we open at least one location during the week, every day, except for Sunday. Next. We had to shut down the in-person services last March with the inception of the pandemic, and have been spending time since then trying to figure out, really trying to reinvent how we can provide service during the pandemic. And we have developed two all virtual programs that will be available starting with the filing season on February 12th. The first is what we call ATP, or alternative tax preparation, in which the taxpayer actually prepares and files their own return electronically. AARP Foundation provides them access to free software and access to certified tax counselors to help walk them through the process. But the taxpayer sets up their own account with the software company and actually prepares and files their own return. The second virtual alternative that will be available is what we call a contact-free preparation model. And in this service model, the taxpayers are responsible for getting their tax documents to us electronically, either through scanning or perhaps using a smartphone to take pictures of the documents and emailing them to us. Then the documents are then taken by our counselors who are working from home, and the returns are prepared and reviewed again by certified tax counselors, and then filed electronically on behalf of the taxpayer. Next slide. The rub for us at this point is that, as I mentioned earlier, our sites have essentially all been DC government buildings. And as everyone knows, they are substantially closed to the public at this time. So we do not now have any in-person services available. However, we do hope, and I hope it's not just a fantasy, but we are hoping that in the near future, we will be allowed limited access to libraries and perhaps rec centers to provide limited in-person services. And we have two models, again, that we're prepared to roll out when we can. In the first model, the taxpayers bring their documents by appointment to one of our sites, and our volunteers then scan the documents into the system, and the processing, preparation, quality review, and final review with the taxpayer are done electronically, and the return is then filed electronically. An alternative to that, which may prove more useful, is what is called the drop-off document drop-off service. Again, the taxpayer would have an appointment at one of our sites, show up with documents, leave the documents, and return by appointment a few days later to pick up their printed return. And when their return is reviewed and approved, they will the return is then filed electronically. Next slide. The big challenge at the beginning of the season is how to get documents into our system. There will be paths through the AARP.org website, through the TaxAid landing page. But in the district, we are also, for the first time, opening a help desk at the beginning of the tax season on February 12th. And taxpayers can contact it by sending an email to dctaxaid.help@gmail.com or by calling 202-642-9037. And a volunteer, a TaxAid volunteer, will get in contact with the taxpayer within 48 hours, excluding Sundays, and find out what the issue is, if they need information, need forms, tell them about the services that we can provide, and walk them through the process of getting documents to us. And we're hopeful that with the publicity of a help desk, that some of the challenges of dealing with electronic and virtual return preparation can be overcome. We look forward to things opening up for everyone, but in the meantime, we are prepared to provide as much service as we can. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you so much. And we all have had to pivot during this time. So AARP has done a great job in trying to make sure that they are able to still access and help their constituents. I just had one question. Excuse me, Ken. Who qualifies for your services from AARP? If you could just do that.
We do not have an income limitation. Our target audience is seniors and low income, but we do not turn anyone away if their return is otherwise in scope. Of course, the upper income taxpayers tend to have more complicated returns, so they will, in many cases, be out of scope. But our target is seniors and low income, but we do not have an income limitation.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure we had that qualifier in there. All right. I'm sure we'll have some additional questions, and we'll have an opportunity to bring you all back to talk a little bit more. Next up, we have Joseph Lightman Santa Cruz, from Capital Area Asset Builders. Joseph, take it away.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. I have the honor and pleasure of being the CEO and Executive Director of the DC-based nonprofit Capital Area Asset Builders. We're better known as CAB. And let's get straight into it. First of all, we're talking about, this is a challenge for all of us. Help us help you. And also, as importantly, help us help our community. This is a $10,000 challenge that we're presenting to you right now. As much as $10,000 can actually be maximized by you, your family, your church members, your neighbors, your community members, by simply being aware of the Earned Income Tax Credit, EITC, being aware of free tax preparation services, and being aware of opening safe and prudent credit union and bank accounts. So let's get into this. First of all, I would like to recognize the leadership by Disby, by Mayor Bowser, by Commissioner Woods, by Michelle, and by Rosie. The EITC is nothing new. It's been around for more than 40 years right now. Yet too many of those who could benefit the most, not only in DC, not only in the DMV, but nationwide, are not maximizing this opportunity. So this is where we need you. This is where we need your proactive assistance in empowering yourself and empowering our community. It's been around for more than 40 years, but it's still something that most of us have not fully understood. So let me just give you the quick rundown on why you should care about the earned income tax credit. Last year alone, and we know what a year last year was, right? More than 48,000 hardworking income earning Washingtonians maximized the EITC, both at the federal level and at the DC state level. Well, I'm already talking about the 51st state of the District of Columbia. The EITC put more than $112 million into the pockets of hard-earned workers in the District of Columbia. This is fantastic because only a few years ago, we were missing out on way too many eligible Washingtonians. At the national level, we've heard from Rosie, from Michelle, from Commissioner Woods, that only 4 out of 5 EITC eligible folks are actually claiming the credit. So roughly 80%, right? Here in DC, just a few years ago, we were one of the lowest jurisdictions in the whole nation that were not claiming the EITC. We were around 71, 72%. I just checked a couple of nights ago, and now we're up to 77.3%. So we're not quite at 80%, but we are a lot better than we were just 4 years ago. We still need to get to 100%. Why should we care about this? Because here we're primarily talking about Black and brown families, the community members that we all care so much about, who are low to moderate income, primarily residing in wards 4, 5, 7, and 8. It is time that we all work together collectively to bring this money into the communities that could benefit the most. We're estimating at CAB that about 20,000 EITC eligible families, let me repeat that, 20,000 EITC eligible families could benefit and maximize this opportunity. Roughly, this is about $40 million, and this is money not that belongs to the government. This is your money. Uncle Sam owes you and the community $40 million. On top of that, if we could move on to the next slide, please. On top of that, the District of Columbia has the most robust state version of the earned income tax credit. So the EITC does make life better for millions of workers around the nation. And we know that tens of thousands of Washingtonian families are benefiting from this. This is literally money waiting for you. And let me not be politically correct and very blunt right now. In the US tax code, there are extremely few benefits for the benefit of low and moderate income families. This is one of the very few, and we need to maximize it for the benefit of the community. So if you qualify, you have to claim it. It could be as much as $6,660 at the federal level. On top of that, 40% of what the IRS approves most likely would be approved by the DC Office of Tax and Revenue, which is the local tax authority. I know that my good friend Teresa in a moment will provide to you a lot of details on how to actually make this happen. Let me not promise that everybody will be getting the full amount, right? The EITC is based on several components, like the amount of income being earned, the number of dependents, and as well as actually some other requirements. And I know that Teresa will cover that, but specifically, let's give a snapshot of a hardworking Congress Heights-based family of 4 that last year earned as much as about $25,000. That one family right there can and should be able to maximize the $10,000 challenge we're talking about. How? Through the earned income tax credit. That's roughly about $9,300 if you get the full amount. On top of that, by you taking advantage of free tax preparation services, and there are so many great nonprofits providing this in DC, so I'm really happy to see Aarp and Community Tax Aid represented, but also a quick shout out to United Planning Organization, Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Washington, as well as the DC Federal Credit Union. At the same time, if you get free tax preparation services, you can be claiming or you can be saving as much as anywhere between $400 to $1,200. It is outrageous that the national paid tax preparation average in the nation is roughly $300. In DC, unfortunately, we see paid tax preparers charging our community members anywhere between $400 to as much as $1,200. You do not need to waste your money. Take advantage of the trusted, high quality, and free tax preparation services that collectively are being brought to your attention. Lastly, I would like to focus, if we can skip to the next slide, please, is the availability of how we can be working with you. And here's the collective we: Bank on DC from the Department of Insurance, Securities and Banking, CAB, United Way of the National Capital Area, and many other great nonprofits to make sure that you set up a bank or a credit union account, that you establish a monthly family budget, that you start to create an emergency savings fund, that you start to save to achieve your God-given potential. So we're all here. This is your money. You have to get it. Let's make sure that you take advantage of this. Let's make sure that you help us to make sure your family members, your church members, your community members take advantage of this. And lastly, if we can skip to the next slide, please, we are going to be providing a lot more information on the availability of DC-based free tax preparation services. So please take advantage of this. Please help us to spread the information, raise awareness, because everybody in the community benefits when folks claim the earned income tax credit. www.caab.org is our website. DC EITC is a specific portion of the website where we're going to be updating you on the availability of free tax preparation services in DC. As Ken mentioned, as Teresa will be mentioning, 2021 will be a unique year, and let's not allow people to fall through the cracks. This is not about keeping business away from paid tax preparers. This is about financially empowering community members so that their hard-earned money stays with them. So with that, again, thank you for the opportunity, and another shout out to DISB, to Bank on DC and United Way of the National Capital Area, because collectively, this is about financial empowerment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As we can tell, Joseph has a lot of passion about that topic, and I'm so excited that you brought this information to everyone. We do want to make sure that you are getting the money that is owed to you. And you have to sign up, you have to file. And now we'll hear from a woman who does all of the filing and knows all of this information, Ms. Teresa Hines. And I can tell you, she is a guru at taxes. I have worked with her as a volunteer when I used to prepare taxes and be a volunteer tax preparer. So I'm excited to have Teresa share some words. She's going to give you some details, some of the nuts and bolts about how to file, what information you need to know. So please pay attention. And for anybody that is interested in getting this information after the fact, we will make it available to you. So without further ado, Teresa Hines from Community Tax Aid.
Thank you. It's always a challenge to follow Joseph. Again, recognizing, as Ken and Joseph have said, we all do this work under the auspices of the IRS. Volunteers are trained and certified, and there are just so many community partners. And both CAB's website and the United Way website are going to have links to the various ways to access free tax preparation in the DMV. But I wanted to also, while we have your attention, highlight some things that are new this year. As the IRS worked through the things that have happened with the CARES Act and with the second round of stimulus payments, they've delayed the opening of the filing season till February 12th. And so combined with COVID, a lot of the free services are, we're delaying our start to make sure we give you the best and most accurate service. That doesn't mean if someone offers to start your return now that it's a scam, though. Preparers can get them started now to transmit later. It's just as volunteer programs, we want to make sure all of our software is up to date before we get going. So one new and exciting thing, many of you, as the standard deduction increase, may have no longer been claiming your charitable contributions on your tax return, but as part of the CARES Act, you can claim up to $300 of your contributions even if you don't itemize. You don't need to bring in all your receipts to your preparers. You just have to have them at home and bring your total or your list of contributions with you. As many people have mentioned, it's been a struggle of a year for many of us, and our incomes have changed a lot, or maybe our incomes were maintained by unemployment, but we weren't working as much. So when you're working, you have earned income, which is how you get that earned income credit, but unemployment doesn't count as earned income. And so they recognize that people who've had a change in circumstance, as Joseph said, the credit's based on your income, and it might have decreased your credit if most of your income came from unemployment. So under the CARES Act, you're allowed to instead use your 2019 income to figure your earned income credit and your child tax credit. That's the one for kids under 17 based on your 2019. So what does that mean for you? It means you've got to dig out a copy of that 2019 tax return you filed and have the information ready for your tax preparer. Never fear if COVID prevented you from filing in 2019. Many of the free programs will do your 2019 and 2020 tax returns at the same time. But it is one more thing, we always tell you bring your last year's tax return, but we really, really need it this year. And then, there were 2 rounds of economic payments. The first one happened in the spring and summer and even into the fall if you had some makeup amounts for some missing kids. And then there was a second stimulus payment that just happened. These were advance credits on your 2020 tax return. So when your preparer files, they'll need that information, and it's going to be an opportunity if you didn't receive those payments to get them as part of your 2020 refund. So we can move on to the next slide. Okay, so what, besides the normal things you need to bring with you, what's new in 2021? Again, you need to find that 2019 tax return. You need to sort out how much of the economic impact or stimulus payment you received. The IRS is saying as they issue them, they're sending you a notice, the 1441 and 1441B. We know how mail has been. You may not get these. There's a lookup tool on the IRS where you can look up what they think you sent. But check your bank accounts, check the checks you got. Maybe your stimulus came in one of those check cards. Try to make a stab at figuring out what was the amount you received and have that information available for your preparer. If you filed during the extended filing season or afterwards, remember the IRS extended us to July last year, and I know we were doing taxes well into November. Because your refund was paid after April 15th, the IRS had to increase it with some interest. But that interest is taxable income to report on your tax return. So in the past couple of weeks, the IRS has sent out an interest statement. It came in a regular business envelope. My husband was freaking out about why the IRS sent us a letter, but it was just letting us know they'd paid us a whole $18 in interest. But take that to your preparer as well. And if you're new to unemployment, your agency is going to issue a 1099-G showing the amount of unemployment you received, and you're going to need that information. And give people a tax planning heads up. If you didn't have federal tax taken out or DC or state tax taken out, may lead you to have a little bit of tax due. But so you want to just check out, when we have appointments available, get on the list and see what's happening. And then just as a reminder to bring the charitable contributions if you haven't been, because you can claim them. All right, next slide. And then the things that are most commonly missed that you need to have are, of course, a government issued photo ID for taxpayer and spouse, and Social Security cards or ITIN letters. These are to verify your identity and help prevent identity theft around your tax returns. And direct deposit is the fastest and safest way to receive your refund. So your preparer will need both the bank account number and the routing number. If you're banking using a payroll card or some other kind of card, you need to contact your card to find out what the routing and account number are. The number on the card is not your account number. And as Joseph and others have mentioned, if you don't have an account number through Bank on DC or bankon.org, there's access to financial institutions where you can open an account in advance of your tax preparation. And we've all heard about what was happening with the Postal Service, but in addition, the IRS suffered COVID outages just like every other employer. They are still opening up tractor trailers full of mail. So if ever possible, you don't want to have to mail in your tax return. You want it to be able to be electronically filed. And besides there being a name mismatch, we have to, when you file taxes, you have to match what Social Security has for records. The two most common ways we see rejects are if you have an identity protection PIN, maybe you had one year and you didn't think you needed it again, you need to bring that PIN every year with you. So IRS has sent out those letters. There's also a IP PIN recovery tool on the IRS website. You may have heard that you can opt in and apply for a PIN. If you went through and decided to try that out and see what happened, the IRS issued you a PIN, you're going to need that number or your return will reject out of e-filing. And then the other thing is if you and your spouse don't file together, maybe you don't live together, maybe you do, and you have to use the married filing separately filing status. In order to e-file, your tax preparer has to enter the name and Social Security number of your spouse as it matches the Social Security records. So just be a heads up, that's something you need. And then this resource page is going to be available when they send out the slides, and you can see if you qualify for the earned income credit and the amount. There's a link for opening bank accounts, for checking on the status and if the IRS thinks they sent you those economic impact payments, and how to find your IP PIN if you've lost it. And just to follow up on some of the information that Ken provided, we, like everybody else, will be providing mostly virtual services with some limited contact drop-off. And like Ken, we're struggling to see where we're going to be able to be because of COVID. And we will give the information the United Way as we have it, including how to get on our list to be notified. And Joseph issued a big challenge to all of us. And my follow-up to that challenge is, if you have friends and family who struggle to access virtual services, one of the fastest way you're going to be able to help people this year is by helping them access virtual tax preparation, because there's going to be more capacity there while we're still in the time of COVID. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. I knew you would get into the details, and that's what we need to hear for everyone so they can be prepared. There were a couple of questions that came through, and I'm going to just read it out. And so one of our panelists, if you could respond. And this one may go to you, Teresa. What if I've already filed my return electronically? Was one of the questions that came up.
So if you have submitted your electronic return for 2020, this current tax year, whoever you submitted it through, if you did say H&R Block Online or TurboTax Online, they are holding it, and it will go to the IRS when the IRS opens for processing on February 12th.
All right, thank you so much. A second question, how do I get my 2019 tax return if I no longer have it?
So depending on how you did it, you may be able to get a copy from your tax preparer. If you went to one of the free services, the IRS does not require or encourage keeping copies. At Community Tax Aid, we do strive to have an electronic copy available for a year, but you may have to go to irs.gov and look for something called Get Transcript. And there's a way you can request a transcript. It'll be like a computer printout of the items on your tax return.
Thank you. And we also have that link available in the information that you shared.
Oh, it's right there on the page right now. Yeah.
It absolutely is. And so for anyone that is unsure about how to get their tax return the previous years, that is a great way to use it. And I heard a lot of good information, so I just want to do a quick recap, but then also just give our panelists an opportunity to just reiterate what was going on. So where can people go to get their taxes done? Remember, most of the sites are going virtual. So you do want to make sure that you are checking the website or calling one of the organizations to see how they are accepting tax returns and tax preparation this year. Also, most of the programs that are offering free tax preparation, just know, just because the preparation is free, it does not mean that the preparers have not been adequately prepared. I know personally that there is a very extensive IRS test that you have to pass if you are going to be a tax preparer at any of the VITA sites. And if Teresa or Joseph might want to just speak to that for one moment and just say what are some of the requirements that are necessary for volunteer tax preparers.
So volunteers have to be retested annually. This is the same for anyone doing it under an IRS program. So all the AARP tax sites and the independent tax sites through the VITA program and also through the military VITA. And the first test they have to pass is an ethics test. And then there's an extensive tax knowledge test. And additionally, built into that are supervision. So if you've ever gone to a free tax site, once it's prepared, it also has to be reviewed by a more experienced individual before it's signed off on. Having said all that, as with any pay preparer, we're preparing the tax return based on the information you bring into us. And as Ken mentioned, we have to stay in the scope of our training and the certification tests we take. So as Ken mentioned, there are some tax issues that are not within our scope. So Joseph pointed out that if you are running a small business, you're still eligible for the earned income credit, but the free services aren't set up for small businesses if you have a physical location, you're selling goods, or you have employees. But people who are self-employed, because they're doing what many of us have done during the slowdown, if you're working in the gig economy, driving for Uber or Lyft or delivering for DoorDash or something like that, you're also self-employed, but those types of returns we can do.
Hey, Michelle,
right.
on the volunteers, if I may, just very quickly, just reminding folks, as you were mentioning, right? Yes, the service is free, but it's high quality, trusted. And as Teresa just mentioned, it is guaranteed that every individual who would touch a document that you bring to their attention has been trained and has been certified. Unfortunately, paid tax preparation service providers cannot guarantee that to you. The tax preparation industry, unfortunately, is the only industry in the whole nation that is not regulated. So here you have an additional comfort layer knowing that whoever is volunteering for AARP tax aid or for community tax aid for the other great organizations are doing this not only because they care about you, they care about the community, but they've been trained and they have been examined as well.
And just to follow up on what Joseph said, if you're not able to take advantage of the free services if you're out of scope for us or some other reason, from the IRS, you can look for a list of registered return preparers who have passed IRS certification. They have opted in to be monitored. So that's one way to make sure who you choose has levels of certification.
All right, we have one last question. Two came in, but they ultimately are the same questions. What can happen? What if someone did not file for 2019? What if they did not file a tax return in 2019? What are their options? Ken, do you want to take that one?
The first thing is to bring your information in. As Teresa mentioned, we expect to do both a lot of 2019 and 2020 returns this year. So, my advice is don't let that deter you. Bring your papers and we can do both, assuming, of course, they're in scope.
All right, so you can get your taxes done. If you have not filed for 2019, you can still get your taxes done and they would be able to do past years. All right, and so with that, if there are any additional questions, see if you can put them in the chat. and we'll have our experts there that they can respond to some of those questions. I want to get ready to turn it over to our partner. We could not do this work without partnership. We know that it's so important. And one of our partners that we really want to highlight is City Foundation and City. And with that, I'll turn it over to Reginald Exum.
Great. Thank you, Michelle. And thank you, Ken, Joseph, and Teresa for that important information. I am Reginald Exum. I'm with City Community Relations, and we are so pleased to support EITC awareness in the District of Columbia. I want to thank Rosie Allen Herring and her team at United Way of the National Capital Area, and Commissioner Karima Woods and the staff of the DC Department of Insurance, Insurance, Securities, and Banking for coordinating today's EITC awareness activity. At City, we understand that EITC is an important tool that provides family with a much needed cash infusion, and one that can help them pay down debts, cover expenses, and even get on the road to saving and planning for the future. But City's commitment to supporting EITC extends well beyond Washington, D.C. and across the United States in cities like New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Miami, and San Diego. The tax credits that EITC provides is often the largest lump sum many families will receive in a year. And with the current crisis many families are now facing, this tax season may be even more critical for low and moderate income filers. We also applaud the organizations who, in addition to providing tax preparation support, also provide an excellent opportunity for families to access a suite of financial empowerment tools and services that can help them build financial identity and strengthen their financial resilience. And as the panelists discussed today, yet too many residents do not take advantage of this opportunity. Across the country, the IRS estimates that 1 in 5 EITC eligible households do not take advantage of the credit. And far too many households are paying to file their taxes, often costing hundreds of dollars in fees and exposing a filer to predatory products and services instead of filing for free at one of the VITA sites. The Earned Income Tax Credit is more than just an economic asset. And for financially vulnerable residents of the cities where we live and work, this simple tax credit often changes lives. We want to ensure that financially vulnerable families can benefit from every penny of this vital tax credit, including not having to pay hundreds of dollars to file their taxes. This year at tax time, our investments will boost economic progress and help ensure that more families have the tools they need to become financially resilient. We want to thank you for allowing City Community Relations to be a part of this important initiative and this important venture in the District of Columbia. I'll turn it back to you, Michelle.
Thank you for summing up those great words with everyone here. We really do want to make sure that we're helping everyone. I do see that someone had a question. What if they work in the district but live in Maryland? The great thing about the United Way of National Capital Area and some of our partners, especially Community Tax Aid, there is help available to you outside of the district as well. I represent the District of Columbia, so that's where my interest lies. However, I am from the DMV area, and so with these resources that are available, they are also available in Maryland and Virginia. I see Teresa came off mute, so Teresa might want to add just a few words on that.
So generally you file taxes in the jurisdiction where you live, and in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, we have commuter reciprocity. So if you live in DC and work in Maryland, you will file a DC tax return. If your job accidentally took out Maryland taxes, they'll help you file a special non-resident return to Maryland to get the money back. If you work farther out, like New York or something, that's a whole different ballgame because there's not commuter reciprocity. So, can't hear me. Sorry. If you file where you live, mostly not where you work, unless the place where you're earning money wants more money from you, DC, Maryland, and Virginia have computer reciprocity. So you just file where you live, and if your job accidentally took out taxes for the wrong place, your preparer will help you file a special tax return to get back that erroneously withheld money.
All right. Thank you so much for that question, and thank you, Teresa, for that great answer. And I'm glad we were able to hear you now. So with that, no further ado, I'll turn it over to Stephanie. We just have a few more things, and we'll be closing out momentarily.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and thank you to our panelists, Ken, Teresa, Joseph, and thank you so much, Reginald, for your wonderful words. We do have one final video we wanted to share with you. And in this video, you'll get to hear from tax preparers and folks who are EITC recipients. And you get to hear about how they've used their tax credit to invest in themselves. And we cannot emphasize enough how important this tax credit is in lifting up those who receive it. So again, we would just really like to remind you a little disclaimer with this video that it was filmed prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. So we again just want to recommend that everyone continues to follow CDC guidelines for social distancing and wearing masks. Thank you.
Currently claim their EITC.
But the district's earned income tax credit is the most generous in the country. Most of the clients we assist at Community Tax Aid leave with refunds, often in the thousands of dollars. And you learn that that is because of the earned income tax credit.
The over 40 sites that are here in the greater Washington area, and how can we make it easier on the consumer so that they can take advantage of this vital program?
My husband and I were able to claim my children, our home, and earn income tax credits for several years. We were able to use the money to make improvements on our home, to pay for childcare, and to build our family resources. Fast forward, I graduate in May with more opportunity than I thought would have been possible at my age.
At your United Way of the National Capital Area is here to fight for the financial stability and economic opportunity of every resident in the city and in the region. Currently claim.
We did have one additional question that came in the chat, and I wanted to make sure that we got to it before I just gave a few words. How do I file for a stimulus if I did not get on the stimulus that I didn't get on my tax? So if you didn't file for the stimulus, how do you get it now?
So when you file your 2020 tax return, any stimulus that hasn't previously been issued will be a tax credit on your 2020 return.
Thank you so much for that, Teresa. This has been a lot of information shared. As you can tell, we have the tax experts here. And as my role as Director of the Office of Financial Empowerment and Education here at the Department of Insurance, Securities, and Banking, we want to make sure that you have access to these resources. We have worked diligently with our partners to make sure that we get the word out all throughout the District of Columbia. And as well as our partners with United Way, they're making sure it's out in the DMV. So get it back, DMV. That's the hashtag, and that's really what you want to do. I want to highlight just a few things. Remember, file for your taxes. If you've gone through some economic instability this year, make sure that you file. You may be able to get more than you thought you could. Also, if you don't have a bank account, one of the best things to do is to open up and develop a relationship with a financial institution. Right now, unfortunately, we're still taking a little bit of time to get our mail. So you might want to make sure that you can file electronically and get those refunds electronically. So the best way to do that is with a insured financial institution and a bank account and a savings account. And last, make sure that you are taking care of yourself and taking care of your family. These credits are for you, for your benefit. So take advantage of what is out there for you, and please look at all the resources that we have here for you today. With that, I'm going to turn it over to just Stephanie, see if she has any additional words from United Way, and then that'll be the conclusion of our event.
Thank you, Michelle. And again, thank you to all of our panelists and speakers today. We are just really grateful that everyone was able to attend. We hope you are taking away some very valuable information. As Michelle has mentioned, we will be making this PowerPoint presentation and this whole entire session available. It has been recorded, so you will be able to access it from our website if you would like to just check in on it again. And also on our website, we do have sites listed for VITA services. It's being updated, as Teresa mentioned, in real time. So right now there's quite a few entries that are from last tax season, and they will be being updated. So just keep checking back. And if you have any questions, you're always welcome to email us at United Way, and we will get back to you to help support you in getting it back this year. So thank you so much, and we're so grateful for all that you do. And we're just incredibly thankful. So again, we're going to send out this PowerPoint, and all of our information and websites will be on that. And I'll also type it in the chat box. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you to everyone.
Thank you all. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you too.